Welcome everyone, my name is Marjorie and thank you for stopping by my channel today. So for today's video, I'm actually participating in a hop with a few ladies. It's hosted by Melissa from Melissa Makes It DIY and Jackie from Crafting in Mimi's World. Please check out the description box below so you can hop on to the next person. In my first DIY, I have these two boxes that were around Christmas time, and I think I got them for like 25 cents or 50 cents a couple years ago. So here I'm just taking them and trying to find out which sides actually meet up the best. And then I'm just gonna take some of my hot glue and glue them together. Now I'm taking some wood pieces. I'm just testing out to see how long they are and if they were just really scrap wood handles from the paint sticks. I love doing crafts with paint sticks, but I always try to keep the little remnants because you can always find something to do with them later. So instead I take these real big, well, they're supposed to be the quart size paint stair sticks from Home Depot. You can get 30 of them for 98 cents, but they're also like really big jumbo craft sticks. So what I do is I take it and I measure it and I cut it in half. And then I will actually glue them all on the front and back sides, just gluing it around the whole box. Now once I've got them all cut, I'm just laying them down, and you'll see at the bottom of the box where the rounded end is, you can see like the box kind of peeking through. Don't worry about that, because what we'll do is we'll take some other actual paint sticks and cover those up. So now I have got the paint sticks trimmed down to size, and I'm actually gluing about half of the paint sticks on top of the craft sticks. That way there's about half a lip on it. It's gonna be the top and the bottom, so I don't have it flush with the top and the bottom of the boxes. I actually have like a little hangover on those. And so what I do is I just take and I do that with all the sides of the boxes, trying to make them as even as possible. Okay, so what I'm doing here is, remember those paint handles, or the paint stick handles that I was looking at earlier? Well, I'm just taking some of those and I'm measuring them out, trying to find the ones that are more on the same size, and I'm gluing them down, because what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna make legs on this little planter. So I'm actually gonna glue two on the corners, on each of the corners, to make the legs so they're more stable. Now if you had longer like block sticks, or even if you wanted to use tumbling towers, you can use whatever you'd like, but I like these because they were longer and I didn't have to worry about where, like with the tumbling tower blocks, you have to glue so many together. I don't really like to do that. So but yeah, that's all I do with all of them. I make all the legs, and then what I do is I take my Waverly antique wax, and I go ahead and give the entire planter a good coating, and then I just take a wipe and remove all the excess wax. And here it is, all finished. I think it's so cute. I really like greenery, and I don't know, I guess maybe the springtime has really made me start feeling the greenery, so I've been doing more for my house. But I thought this was a cute little piece. So for my second DIY, I take some of these slats from Walmart. You can get these at the Dollar Tree, but my Dollar Tree hasn't had them in a very long time, so I just bought some at excuse me, Walmart. And then what I'm doing here is I'm just looking for, because there's always that one or two little slats that has the writing on it, so I was making sure that I had those to the back, so when I paint down my little paint sticks, my leftovers, excuse me, then it's all on the back and none of that writing is on the front side. And all I do is just take a couple of used paint stir sticks, glue them on there, and then what I'll do is I'll take another small handle piece, because when I started painting it, it was still a little bit wobbly, and so I just put it over the two paint stir sticks and it made it more secure. So then all I do is I paint the middle slat white with my white chalk paint from Kills, and then I take two Waverly chalk paints, one in the color Mineral and the other in the color Steel, and I paint the two inner ones next to the white slat with Mineral, and then I paint the two outer ones with Steel. I'm sorry guys if I keep sniffling. I have allergies and it's just been really bad lately, but I apologize. So once it's all painted, I took some floral, some gray flowers I'd got from Joann's a while back, and I'm just reusing them, along with a little bit of various greenery that I had left over. And then I had this 1.5 inch wired ribbon. I thought it was so cute, the little gray plaid. And I'm just gonna make a really simple bow. So I actually used some zip ties on the floral and the greenery and tied those together that way. And that's what I'm gonna do with the bow as well. I'm just trying to make it as easy as possible, user friendly for me with my hands. And so what I did here is I put a little zip tie over the bow, and then before I clamped it all the way down, I put another one parallel to the loops on the back side, and that is so it'll help me attach it to the wooden frame. But I just basically tie all of it to the wood pallets with zip ties. There's the finished project. I actually did take another gray flower and kind of put it a little in the middle of the bow just to give it a little more decoration. Now this third gift, I got this little wood frame from Hobby Lobby. I think it was like $2. And then I got that little transfer, or it's not really a transfer, but it's kind of like one big sticker. And it has like a Mother's Day or Mother's poem on it. So I take my chalk paint in Sage and I give the front of the picture one good coat. Now I love this color, and it's so pretty, but it also has really good coverage. So for all the black that was actually on this picture, with the one coat, it did really, really good. You could not see it. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I am so OCD with my paint that it has to go all in one direction. Now, I thought I was filming, and of course, ding dong me, I did not get to film it. But I just added that sticker on there, and then I took some of the Dollar Tree greenery transfers and I just put them on there to give it a nice touch. Now for this present idea is going to be a Mother's Day wreath. So I got my ribbon, from Craft Outlet. I got that 21-inch multicolor ribbon, deco mesh from Craft Outlet. I'm using a Dollar Tree frame. That cross was a Mother's Day finding at Walmart a couple years ago, and I'm just getting to use it here. So here I've cut all my tails in 14 inches, and I'm showing you how to dovetail them. I've already did the pre-work on those, but I just wanted to show you on a couple of those. So what I'm doing now is I'm taking my two ribbons and I'm going to make a really simple bow. I'm folding it over roughly about 7 inches to where this bow is going to be a total of 12 inches, but the middle portions of it overlap. So you'll see where I cut it, where they come in together is what I call the middle portion, and they have to overlap. So when you go and cut the sides, like you'll see me do here in just a minute, then it's still gonna grab hold of the chenille stems. So I fold it in half and try to find the center, and as you see, I cut it a little over the center, which you'll see right here. So that's the little flap I was talking about. So cut in about 1/2 inch on each side, and that always seems to be pretty good. The further in you cut, then the more manipulation you can do with your bow, but I would say I wouldn't go any more than 1/2 inch. So then I'm taking the ribbon and I'm measuring out 30-inch tails so I can actually cut them in half. Well, not cut them all the way in half. I fold them in half and then I cut the 1/2 inch on each side, just like I did with the loop portion of the bow. And now I marry up the little slits with the loops and the tails, and I take a chenille stem and I just kind of pinch it all together, and I make sure that I'm really tight on the chenille stem when I'm tightening it. Then I take the ends of the ribbons and I just do the quick little dovetail. And then comes the fun part, which is the fluffing. So I basically just alternate one up, one down, and then I alternate the ribbon. If I've got the florals at the top first, the next time I put it at the bottom. It kind of just helps separate them more. Now this bow, I just used 2 different variations of ribbon, but you can definitely use multiple different colors, you know, mixing your 2.5 and 1.5, or even 2. There are some 2-inch that Dollar Tree sells, but that also makes it really good. So however big or fluffy you like your bow is going to depend on how many loops you do. So here is my 14-inch wreath. In between these 2 crossbars, that is called a section. And those are the rails that I was showing you. There are 4 different rails. So I'm taking the 2 inner rails, taking a chenille stem and doing 1 pipe cleaner, and taking the outer 2, and I'm going to put 2 chenille stems on there, so where I just tie it together, just do a couple of good twists. And I'll say, don't tie it too tight, because what will happen is you'll actually start bowing the rings. You'll get them closer together. Now you'll see that the chenille stems move back and forth, and that's fine. Once you have all the deco mesh in place, you're not even going to be able to tell. So I start with my 21-inch deco mesh and I just gather the ends. And as you see, I'm just showing you how the edges are kind of curling down or inward. And then I take a zip tie and I zip tie it to one of the crossbars. Now be careful, because what I didn't do is I didn't have a good tight hold on it. So the middle part of the gathering kind of came apart, and that's why you had to see me gather it together again. But once you get the zip tie on, which I'm sorry, I normally don't struggle that bad. I don't know what was going on with me that day. Just make sure it's on there tight. Then what I like to do is take my scissors and cut that extra stuff off. You don't have to, you can always tuck it under, but it's just something I like to do. So then I'll take the zip tie that I used as a starting point on my 0, and then I'll measure out 10 inches. That 10-inch pinch is going to go into the first chenille stem, and then here's where you can fluff out your poofs. Then I take that chenille stem and measure out another 10 inches that goes straight into the next chenille stem. And I do that all the way around. I'll cover all the bottom chenille stems and then I'll jump up to the top. And it gives you 18 chenille stems in all. Now you can either fluff out your poofs while you're doing your while you're making the poofs, or you could do it afterwards. It doesn't matter. I like to do it before because I like to see the fluffiness, but then even as I add my other stuff in there, I'm still constantly fluffing. So here I have some Snowball White 10-inch deco mesh, and I'm cutting these to 9.5 inches. And the reason is because I used it for another project and I knew just how much I had, so I divided that amount by the number of chenille stems, which gave me 9.5 inches. Now, it is good to measure out your material, because you can actually, for me, like I can make a 14-inch ring frame and a swag out of 2 different types of deco mesh, and it's cheaper. So what I'm doing now is I am making ruffles, and I'm putting them in all of the chenille stems, and then I'm just fluffing out the ruffle. And then, like I said, once I get more ruffles in, I'll end up going in and fluffing the poofs in between them. Now here what I'm doing is I've got most of my ribbon. I've got 2 of them together, folded them to find the midpoint, pinched it, and then I curled the ends. Curling the ends to me is important because it adds a little bit of height to the ribbon, and it's not just sticking out there looking kind of weird and flat. I don't know, I don't like it when the ribbon is flat. I like it when it's curled. It kind of goes along with all the poofiness and makes the wreath look beautiful. Now I don't really have a rhyme or reason when I'm picking my ribbon. It just depends what ribbon I like, what ribbon I have, what the deco mesh is, or what the decor piece is. Honestly, when I shop for what I like and the colors for different seasons, and then I don't really know what I'm going to do until I get it and say, hey, I'm going to do a wreath. So I only did 16 sets of the ribbon tails because I'm going to take this big bow and put it right over the one that doesn't have it. So now you can kind of see what the back of the wreath looks like. But what I'm doing here is I'm taking the chenille stem that I attached with the bow, and I am placing it and just twisting it on the whatever rings I can for the wreath frame. Now these ribbons, when they're wired, are very forgiving. You can manipulate and abuse them any way you want to, and they still work great. My main focus when I do bows is to make sure that they're all opened up, all the loops, and that they're poofy and that they're not flat or hidden between them. So you really have to be mindful of what loops you have. So for this cross, I like the burlap. The burlap on it matched the 21-inch deco mesh that I used. So I just didn't like how wide the centerpiece was covering the ribbon. So I just took it off just to make it a little bit shorter, because again, I like my loops puffy, and so I was trying to do that. But I think this had kind of been the material of it and how it was sitting for so long that it didn't get as poofy as I liked it. Well, I liked for it to. I mean, it turned out great, and you'll see here in a second. I really like it, but again, it just wasn't as poofy as I like, but it still looks great. So what I don't show, I don't believe, yeah, I don't show that I had just used a staple gun and put a couple of chenille stems on the back and attached it that way. But this turned out such a beautiful springy wreath. I think any mother would love to have. So I want to thank you guys for stopping by, and please remember to go to the description box and check out the next video in the hop. You guys have a blessed day. Thank you.